Good evening. Three guys, many games. Look at Vinny. He's so punctual. He pops on right when you need him. That's like when you need a goal, you get Vinny. He comes right on. Play
We
that
call him
music.
last minute
There he
Charlie.
is.
Yeah,
What's up,
There
Charlie?
he
there
is.
it is.
Always off. He's back on. Last minute Charlie. Good
Last
morning.
minute Charlie, that's for sure.
He made it.
Yeah.
He's always gonna deliver. That's the bottom
Give
line.
the introduction, Steven.
So tonight we got a very special guest. We've been looking forward to this. I've been thinking about a lot of things to ask this gentleman. He was a tremendous, tremendous player from his roots in Lynbrook in Long Island, another Long Island guy. Went on to have a great career in college with UMass, and then probably one of the most prolific coaching careers that we're definitely going to want to hear about. Anytime that a coach spends more than 30 years in one institution, that's completely impressive. There's not many guys that do that. We got to definitely give him a little cheer for that one.
Nobody. That's the longest ever, Stephen.
Is it
Longest ever at one place. Yep.
Is it the longest ever?
I think Kevin Corrigan has been at Notre Dame longer. And then my coach at UMass, Dick Garber, was there for 36 years.
30.
Was he?
6 years, yeah. So there's no way I was beating that. That's for sure.
Steven, introduce the
Wow.
guest. They don't know who he is.
Well, this is the great UMass coach who recently retired, Greg Canella, for that 33 season run. And Greg, thanks for coming on with us. We definitely wanted to get a little northeast feel. Everybody was saying, "Oh, you're talking to all these other guys." We wanted. You're a Long Island guy that's had such a prolific coaching career, and I think that a lot of people in the country, even the younger guys, should know a lot of the upbringing. I know Vinny always likes to go back to the early days. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the early days of how you first really got into the sport.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me, guys. I watch you guys all the time, listen to you, know Bobby Smalley for so long, and you two legends, some Browder brothers, just incredible. And growing up watching Vinny play, right? And then, like I talked to you guys just before here, walking to practice with Bobby Smalley across the parking lots over at Nassau, we had some
Yeah.
great conversations and some funny ones as well. Now, I grew up in Lynbrook. My dad was a coach, and he actually started lacrosse in Lynbrook in 1957.
Wow.
He was a football coach. Yeah, he was a football coach at Lynbrook High School. He went to Cortland, graduated in 55. He tried out for the New York Giants and the Baltimore Colts. He was a guard. Never saw lacrosse before he got to Cortland, and his football teammates all played lacrosse as well. So they made him go out for lacrosse. But when he came back, he got a job at Lynbrook, football coach, phys ed teacher, and they gave him a hard time of having the spring football practice at Lynbrook High School. So he said, "Hey, I'll just start lacrosse," and that's how he did it in '57. And he told me that he would bring out the sleds every day, bring out the sticks, but bring out the sleds. They'd hit the sleds for about an hour, football practice, and then pick up the sticks for a half hour. They played some really good teams back then, but he said no one wanted to play them because they used to beat the crap out of everybody. They had about two or three guys that could handle the ball, but so that's where I got my start. Right, my dad and I have four older brothers that all played lacrosse. Um, and they got me into it early, 2 or 3, 4 years old. I can remember a stick in my hand and watching those guys play. We kind of went up through youth lacrosse and all the way through into high school with a good group of guys at Lynbrook. And I was really fortunate too to have like great coaches in Lynbrook. And my high school coaches were Tony Seaman and Larry Glens. Both these guys are in multiple Hall of Fames. Tony's in the National Hall of Fame. Larry's in the National High School Hall of Fame. And then from there, I went to Maryland for 3 semesters, and then I came back to Nassau, and Coach Beckman's in how many Hall of Fames, National Hall of Fame, and then I went to UMass, and Dick Garber's in every Hall of Fame that lacrosse has. So that's how I was raised to kind of be a coach. My dad was a coach. Um, I kind of had great mentors all the way along, and so I figured it would be a good thing to do.
Well, it's no, there's no question, about when you think about all of those influences, how it's obvious how you became a tremendous coach. Those are some of the very best around, and it's unique in our sport when you do. Everybody has their story and their journey, and it seems like it's always littered with these greats and these great mentors. And I think that everybody takes that seriously as as you mature in the game, and whether you stop playing and whether you're coaching, it always seems to get passed down, father to son, coach to player, and that's what's really special about the game of lacrosse, because you can look at any person and you could look at that lineage of the various people that influenced their life. It's just tremendous.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And again, I was very fortunate, and I pulled stuff from all those guys. Tony Seaman was like an innovator. He was one of the first guys that we would run intervals on the track. In 1980, 81, right? He was 10-manning in high school, which was unheard of. And when he got to post and then he went to Penn, he was the big invert guy, which was kind of the first times we saw all that. And Larry Blenz was different. Larry was a defensive coach, but more so, he was like a player's coach. We loved him. We would have done anything for him, and that was the type of guy he was. And so you take pieces from both of those guys, and then with Coach Speckman, it was like he had to form a team, in like a month before the season started, right? And you had all these guys from all over Long Island, Nassau County, some Suffolk County guys, right? Some guys that like me that came home, and he had to make a team and make the guys, kind of create some chemistry and some bonds within a short period of time in order to be successful. And he was the best at it than anyone was, right? His team changed every year. And then Coach Garber was a gentleman. He's the ultimate professional, in coaching, and was such a first class guy, and so well respected, and was very fair to everybody. So again, pieces of all these guys, and I have to mention when I graduated, I got a job with John Espy. He hired me at Stony Brook. They had gone from Division III to Division I in men's lacrosse and women's soccer, and John was the head coach, and he hired me as a full-time assistant. And John taught me everything how to be a college coach, everything, how to write a letter, how to recruit in general, but really how to treat people, whether they're the guys on the team or really the people in the building, the other coaches, all the way down to the guys who line the fields for us and the janitors. Is just a first class guy. So I mean, again, the mentoring that went on for me, I consider myself absolutely so lucky to be around those guys and learn from them all.
Yeah, let me just say, your lineage with the names you just put out there is really incredible. And I don't know that people who are not from Long Island understand the history at just Lynbrook High School, when you could throw Paul Wareham into that mix also. National
he was
championship,
my freshman wrestling coach, Coach
a
Wareham.
USA team. So I had both Tony Seaman and Paul Wareham as coaches for me on world teams. These are guys who came out of Lynbrook High School coaching. I would say I didn't go to Lynbrook High School maybe, but coached at Lynbrook High School at one time or another. Then you throw in Quint, who's an announcer for how many years? So that Lynbrook influence is really just unbelievable. I'm just curious, did Lynbrook, because you had so many great players out of Lynbrook, a bunch that we played with. Did Limbrook ever win a county championship in lacrosse?
Yeah, they did. They won 2 state titles under Larry Glenn's.
Wow.
I want to say right around the 2000s, maybe
Yeah, you got my glasses.
99 and 2001, somewhere in that range.
Wow.
But he won it twice. Yeah, he won it twice.
Wow. I didn't realize
But
that.
yeah. And again, like most towns on Long Island, there was youth lacrosse, the Titans, Limerick Titans. And we were playing all together, and you just grew up with those kids, and you went from fourth grade all the way to seniors in high school, and I mean, you had these incredible bonds with all those great players.
Yeah, you were lunch pail kids. That's what you are.
Oh, definitely
All
were.
of
Kidding me?
cops and firemen.
There's no doubt, and teachers, right? Teachers, a lot of people hopped on the train and went into the city at Limerick, commute to
Yeah.
the city. But in our family, my dad was a teacher. He got into the administration at Limerick High School, and they had 5 kids that they were supporting, and so got a lot of hand-me-downs and a lot of beatings along the way there.
Mm-hmm.
So after your Limerick days, you might have done one of the most accomplished things is you didn't run into that iceberg at Nassau, which was Rob Smalley. That didn't impede you at all because like you're like Smalls has a reputation. Vinny spent a lifetime building himself up, and Smalley's wrecking him in like 4 years.
Oh, yeah, 3 years he tore me
That's
down.
true.
He tore me
He
down.
built the career for 40 years. I wrecked it in 4 years. There's no
No,
doubt about that.
a small. I was, I think I was. I made friends fast with Smalley. I wasn't dumb. He's this big stud, in shape guy. I'm like, who the heck is this guy? And we were talking Limerick, Levittown stuff, and Smalley was great, man.
Well, when you came back,
All the team liked him. They liked him on the team.
Everyone loved Smalley. You kidding me?
So it could have been if Speckman wasn't going to put him on because of that 505 alleged mile. They might have had like a Rudy thing where the jerseys were
Greg, give
going
me
on
the mile, right? We ran it.
I remember doing the 40, but not the mile.
Inside the school. Yeah. He loves it.
Oh, that's funny. So how did you had a successful career at Nassau. How did you choose UMass? I'm sure you were recruited by a lot of people coming out of Nassau.
Yeah, it's a good story. One, John Jordan, who Bobby Smalley knows, and Chris Knapp, Levittown guy, and John's from Garden City. They were at Nassau with us, and they went to Nassau before I got there. When I transferred in January, and I needed a full year at Nassau in order to graduate in order to go play at another 4-year school. So I spent the fall at Nassau, and those guys went to UMass. So it was an easy thing. And then Mike Candell, who's a Limerick guy, even though he was a writer for Newsday.
Yeah, other tie to Limbrook.
And one of the founders of Nassau Lacrosse,
the program.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, the program. Yeah. And he was a family friend. He had been a graduate assistant up at UMass years before this. And he just called me and said, hey, I really think you can excel up there. I think you're going to go to someone that's exactly opposite. The situation is going to be exactly opposite than what you had at Maryland. So I took his word for it, and I went up there and visited Jordy and Napper, and I met a bunch of guys that were really into lacrosse and getting better, and that's how I kind of made my decision. I did have a couple other opportunities, and I felt when you look back at it, it's probably the best decision I ever made in my life is going up there.
Wow. Definitely put you on the map and kept you. I mean, we love hearing these stories from guys because, when people, fans, they think about you, recent fans, or just became knowledgeable of you in their last years from different parts of the country. But it really is amazing how there's so many ties back to, guys' original high schools and stuff like that, and the people that, came into their lives as friends and still remain friends, and you still got guys like that to lean on as mentors. They never go away, those kind of guys.
No doubt. And Nassau was a lifesaver for me. I wasn't in a good place coming home, but when I went to Nassau, and I was embraced by those guys in January, and still have a ton of great friends from there. Paul Gansey's another great friend who actually followed us up to UMass. I just Brian McCormick. I mean, just great people that I've become lifelong friends with.
Jeff Dumpson, your boy Jeff,
Jeffrey Dumpson, boy, man,
Mr. Athlete.
an athlete. What an athlete. What a tough kid, tough player. Michael Romano. I mean, Jack Huggard, Richie Anderson. I mean, the names, you could keep going. Bobby Gallagher. I mean, Vinny Rosati. I mean, just Long Island guys.
Was on that team, right? Wasn't he on your team, Smalls? Finneran?
Kevin Finneran. Kevin
Yeah.
Finneran has to be the most underrated lacrosse player in the history of lacrosse, right?
Right.
He was at Nassau. He might have been a second line guy. He played a little bit, scored a couple goals, and then he goes to Cornell, and then beyond Cornell, he's like an all-world player. I mean, it's just amazing, amazing, and another great guy. Finster was like the guy who was most likely to fall asleep on your couch when you had a party, and we loved him for it.
Nothing's changed.
Dougie Hall is the coach. Crazy Georgie Powers. I mean,
George Powers, Mike Sanamaze, right?
It's unbelievable.
And George Powers played with my brothers at Nassau, my two older brothers. So, we used to get the, what were you doing this weekend? Saturday night, kind of thing from George, because, he kind of knew my family.
He was like a sergeant. He was like a drill sergeant.
Yeah. Don't cut those corners, that's for sure.
Everything was intense, military style.
Go around the cones. Don't go inside the cones.
So, Greg, I gotta tell you my UMass story. You ready?
All right.
So
yes.
I'm coming out of high school. It's not like it was then. I wasn't really being recruited. I got a couple of phone calls. I'm at Chaminade, coming out of Chaminade, and it's my freshman year at Chaminade was the first year they ever even had a program, and it was a club team. Wow. So by my senior year, it had evolved into a league, and we played for the championship. We lost. But as late as June, I still didn't even know where I was going to school. I had very few people interested in me. And one of the dads of a teammate, Mike Curran, his name was Jack Curran. He was FBI agent, Jack Curran. And I don't know if he was partners or he knew Terry Keefe's dad through the FBI.
Yes.
You remember Terry Keefe, right, from East Meadow, I think
I saw him this weekend. Yeah, I saw him this weekend.
So he was one of the captains back at that time. And Jack Curran called me, and they got me on the phone and said, we've never seen you play. We don't know if you could play, but you're coming highly recommended from Jack Curran, and Mr. Keefe is vouching for you, but you got to make up your mind in an hour. They kind of put it on me. They were like, listen, you got to tell us. If you say you're coming, you have to come, but you got to tell us right now. And I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, it just scared me.
I'm last minute Charlie for a reason. He ain't coming.
And I'm last minute Charlie, but that was a little too much last minute Charlie for me. Yeah, so I said, well, I can't do that. I don't want to hold you up if you got somebody else you're interested in. But I was very close to going to, And what's funny is so many of my friends that, went to UMass, those Manhasset guys, the Skip, and of course Peter Schmitz from Port Washington. And now I'm part of Garber's Gorillas for many years, playing with these guys in the Giza Leagues. So we have so much together. A great group, the UMass, between Brooksy and all those guys, Jimmy Weller and Schmitty who runs it, and they're such a great group of guys.
I saw a lot of those guys up this past weekend at UMass. Mickey Mena, Brooksy was there. Just great guys, phenomenal players. If you went to UMass, you would have had another legend playing for us. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think I would have enjoyed the fit.
I grew up, Vinny. When my brother Mike is my oldest brother, and when he went to Naval Academy Prep School. Jimmy Metzger was his roommate. And
Wow.
so when he came home and went to Hofstra, our family, we loved Jim Metzger, right? So our family used to go and watch the games. So the first game I went to, I was 14, 15 years old, and I said, who is this guy? Screw Metzger. It was Vinny Sombrado. I was like, my God, this guy's fantastic. The
Thank
legend,
you.
just watching you play and trying to emulate the way you played. I think every kid that went to those games did the same thing. You're an unbelievable player, man.
Yeah, that was the fun part about staying home, Greg, to stay home and be at Hofstra and having so many young guys who had come to those games and saw us play, and some guys tell me like you do, yeah, I was at that game the night you guys beat NC State, Cockatoo broke the record, and, you guys beat them, and
I was
Metzger
there.
had about 8 points that night.
I was there. I was at that game.
Yeah.
It actually was my dad somehow knew Ron Frazier, and Ron Frazier was there, and that was the first time I looked at him. I'm like, oh my God, this is Ron Frazier. This is another legend, right? Growing up, knowing these names, unbelievable.
Cheryl Smalley stepping in.
Oh,
Cheryl
wow.
Smalley stepping in. Rob's out. Cheryl's in.
That's great.
This is the brains of the operation.
The screen just got a lot better looking.
It definitely did.
Yeah. Cheryl, stay on. Let him talk from beyond.
Wait, you mean you want to talk with his nose?
Exactly. We need to dub his right. Exactly. That would definitely work better.
All right, well, let's go ahead and grab something. I'm gonna put him back on.
Okay.
Okay. Good seeing you, Cheryl.
So
Greg, you could see how unscripted our show is.
Yeah,
Anything could happen when you come on three guys many games.
You never know.
I love it.
So at your UMass days, one of the things that always stuck out, you're a little ahead of me in college. What was your last year? Your last year was
87.
87. So that was like right before I just started going into college. And I just remember from being in high school, like I remember those teams, where you had that team, because I had played against Sal in high school, and when he was a freshman, I guess, was when you guys kind of went really far there. Or you were playing Hopkins, and you really kind of had them on the ropes, right? That was...
Well, but it was a good game. I think Sal had something like 28 saves, or 27 saves in the game. That's really the only reason why we're still in the game, honestly.
But I used to remember all the great, yourself included, and Jerry Burns on that team, and Carmine, and so many of the Sal. This was a great team. This was a lot of real star power on that team.
Yeah, great team. Timmy Sudan was on that team as a freshman. Came in with Sal, and Sal really kind of did it for us. We wouldn't have been anywhere near as good without Sal, right? I think he saved it like 67% that year, his freshman year, right? But we had some good teams. Yeah, and we went to the quarters that year, and then my senior year, we lost to Penn in the first round. That was Chris Flynn, and when Chris Flynn was a senior down at Penn. Two really good teams I was able to play on, but Sal was incredible. We couldn't score on him in practice, just to frustrate the heck out of us. We wound up tackling him in the goal and all that, and try to do whatever we could to get the ball in the goal. But again, Bernsey was at his prime, right? He had gotten better and better, and he was really, really good his senior year. We had this guy Tommy Aldridge from West Jenny, who's a really great defenseman as well. And you mentioned Tom Carmine, who as an athlete and an all-around player, was just tremendous. I know he played against you guys in a box game for many years as well. So
played with us too. Ended up playing with us at the end of his career. He was great. Yeah, he came to play for the Saints. Yeah.
Wow.
And probably the thing, and we'll give Tommy Carmine a shout out, because he's another one of these sort of unknown guys that probably people don't know out there. For the people out there, Tommy Carmine was a beast. He was carrying New England lacrosse. He was an elite guy. He was the main guy. If we're going into a game, we're like, all right, they got a lot of good guys, but we have to do something with Tommy Carmine because everything flows off of him. He's such a good passer. He can score. He can do so many things well. He makes the whole team better, and he really was an elite player.
Big time, and such a great athlete. His dad was actually a collegiate champion in the pole vault.
Wow.
And so Tommy had those genes. In college he was real thin, but he had explosive legs, and he just did everything so well, as you mentioned. He one year, but my junior year, he was 20 and 47. And then my senior year, he was 47 and 20. He could do it all, right? In terms of that, tremendous rider. That's why he was probably a great box player. Just all over the floor there. Yeah, I would agree with you. Just got into the Hall of Fame at UMass, which is great. We'll celebrate that in September. So really happy for Tommy, and lives locally actually here. So I see him quite often.
Yeah.
Great teammate.
Yeah, we're hoping to recruit him for the Gorillas. His name's been thrown out a few times, but he would add something to it because he really. I tried to convince him once when he tried out for the U.S. team, and I said to him, "You should go out for midfield because he could play midfield." He was
no doubt.
I think he was maybe a little reluctant from a defensive standpoint, but he was good on defense. He was scrappy.
Yeah,
he was like. He could stay on you, and I said, Tommy, attack is going to be the hardest spot to make on this team. You got a better shot at midfield. I think he might have made it at midfield.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Tremendous player.
Yeah.
And just great guy. And he's a Farmingdale guy, Smalls, so,
Yeah.
we can't hold that against him.
So when you finished school and you were coaching at Stony Brook, you did get to play a little. We did cross a little paths.
Yeah.
Club. You did play some club.
I played with Harvey with North Hempstead.
Okay.
For 3 years, and then I played with Kevin Huff out at Suffolk because it was a lot closer to where I lived out there.
Right.
But had great experience. Harvey. It was Harvey and Bob Hoppy was the assistant coach.
Bob Hoppy coach. Yeah.
Yep. And Jack Haley was the other coach. What an experience that was too. And it's funny because not funny, but Jack Haley also coached at Limerick High School.
Oh, I didn't know that.
My dad got into
He's coached everywhere.
Unbelievable. My dad got into the administration. They wouldn't let him coach, and they hired Jack Haley. And that was before, he was there before Tony Seaman got there.
Wow.
Well, he was coaching at St. John's when I was playing at Post.
That's right. I coached Wittenberg. It was Ernie Olsen, Wittenberg, and Cayley when we played against those guys. Good stuff. But I remember playing Long Island, and it was like, man, how are we ever going to beat these guys? It was Vinny, then you had Crowley on attack, Randy Natoli, Eddie Hughes. It was like, Jesus, and who was it on defense? When we were at Nassau Smalls, we scrimmaged them. And Tony Patillo comes up to me. He's covering me on attack, and he goes, "It's going to be a bad day for you, kid." He had no idea who I was. I just looked at him. I was like, "Oh, my God, we're in trouble. We're in trouble." And then they ran. We fouled a couple times. They ran whatever, check right, carry play. And it's just like boom, boom, boom. Balls in the back of the net every single time. Amazing stuff.
and for the people out there who might not be believing that Tony Patillo story, we got the video of him in a club championship game walking up a guy's back and stepping on the back of his neck.
I believe it. I believe it. Yeah. And I met him. When I started coaching at Stony Brook after that. And he found out that I was coaching. I went to the high school to recruit the kids at Sachem, and nicest guy in the world, man.
Tony was great.
If
Tony was with you, there was nobody better. He was the best teammate. He loved being a teammate, but he had that. Part of it was shtick, it was the psychological game with guys because he was a big guy and all. But by the way, you mentioned Espy. Espy also coached North Hempstead.
He did, yeah, yeah. He was there
Yeah,
before he stopped coaching before I started playing for him. But
yeah,
I know he was. I know he was there with those guys for a long time. Listen, the North Hempstead guys were great. Jimmy Buckley and the Cooks were there at the time. Bobby Cook was there.
yeah,
Paul
yeah,
Jones. I mean, that list goes on and on too. I mean, just super Marty Bergen, just great people.
yeah.
Great
That was,
players. We had a good group
yeah,
there. I had a lot of fun with those guys.
yeah. Harvey to be around Harvey was always great. Harvey was a
Fantastic,
wonderful man
fantastic.
who he grew the game, from not only starting the program in Port Washington with help of a bunch of Port Washington guys, but he was the main cog in that wheel, in that machine. But he also helped other towns establish some youth programs. He showed them how he did it here, and that's what grew the island with the sport. Harvey, he definitely loved the game. We one time had a summer league game in Freeport, and we were going to forfeit. And they told us, if you don't have enough guys, it's a forfeit. We only had 9 guys. And we said, well, we'll play with 9. And they said, you can't. We said, well, somebody's going to show up. We could play with 9. Play man down. And Harvey ended up putting the equipment on.
Oh, that's
And went and
fantastic.
stood in the corner, said, don't throw me the ball. So we wouldn't forfeit. There was no roster. It just was, you'd have that 10th guy. Harvey was out
Sure.
there. But he
Sure.
was the greatest. He really
Sure.
was.
Hey, Greg, I got to throw a little fun into the game here, because you got Mr. and Mrs. Boring over here. So let me just update you a little bit.
He's so bored that he hasn't sat down. He hasn't heard one word anybody said. He's doing his business. He's talking to his wife. He probably ate 2 sandwiches since we've been on. He sneaks off to eat. That's what he does. He goes over to take a
what it
few
is?
bites of sandwiches. He has some ice cream. Then he comes back. And then he's critical of everything. Like he knows.
I just want a very good point here that Vinny's bringing up. So every week we bet on the games, and that's how people pick. The games are usually, Vinny, would you say, they're like 1.5 points, like that. Most of some outrageous games might be 3 to 5, but very rare. But somehow, out of all these clowns, the experts, I'm leading in the polls.
Yeah. All right.
No, the fans are leading. The fans.
The fans are
See,
leading.
see what they just did to me.
And
The
you're
fans are
tied
leading.
with me, and Vinny is behind. So again, you get.
I'm in last. I'm always last.
2 years ago.
Are you the handicap
I just
Mo?
wanted to bring that up. And the other thing I
No.
wanted to bring up, that this weekend is the big weekend for Richard Speckman. At 1
Yes.
o'clock, there's a game at Nassau Community College. Are you on Long Island this year?
I'm not. I'm actually coming down the following weekend. UMass is playing Penn at Howard Middle School in
Yeah.
Farmingdale. And
Yeah.
I'll be doing some color with Varsity Media for those guys with Brian
Oh,
Soper.
nice. Nice.
Yeah. So I can't do it twice in a row. I saw Specky at the convention last year and had dinner with him. He looked fantastic. He still has the same sense of humor that he's had. He's a very dry guy, but funny. We talked about our times, about the time that I was there at Nassau with the team that I played on. He remembers everything, man. He remembers it all. He's
How
an
old is
amazing guy.
Becky now? Is he 80, 81?
I would say in that range, yeah.
That's
In that range.
He's still
I mean,
golfing.
Some of these guys, Tony Seaman, Specky, you just don't know how old these guys are. They just keep going. They just keep going.
I mean, Tony Seaman's still on the sidelines at St.
He's still
Andrews
coaching.
coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, he's
unbelievable.
still coaching. It's amazing.
And he has knowledge. He's you know what? He was an innovator, but he also stayed up with the game. He's not one of these guys thinks it has to be played like 20 years ago. He understands fundamentally the game doesn't change if you're good with your certain fundamentals.
That's
You know,
right.
give and go, pick and man ball, all those things, they don't change. But he, as an innovator, he's right up to date with, how guys play the game. And he took some teams that, from a coaching perspective, he took some teams that I think most people would think that when he was at Penn, even, I mean, he nearly knocked off the Gates at that
Yeah,
year when I
yeah.
guess they were, was that their sophomore year, Stephen, when that one goal
Yeah, that
game when
was
Paul scored?
that was my freshman year,
Yeah,
'88.
yeah. I mean, he took them to the wire with what
I
people
know.
might have thought was an undermanned team, and yet, his coaching, he brought the level up of his players, which was
No
really
doubt.
something.
He's the only coach I think that's put three teams to the Final Four, three different teams. So Penn, Hopkins, and Towson to the Final
Yeah, it's
Four.
amazing.
That's
It's
amazing.
amazing.
It is amazing.
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you again. Your longevity at UMass. That span of 33 years. It's sort of like you crossed eras even of just lacrosse.
Yeah,
What would
yeah.
you what would you say some of the biggest differences from when you first started coaching to when you're finishing coaching? How the game has evolved or changed, or things you might like that have evolved, and things that maybe are not as good.
Yeah. Well, the main thing that I like is it's faster. The game's faster with the shot clock, and teams are actually playing. Now everybody in the playoffs come and all that stuff. They play into the shot clock. They play deep into the shot clock, but it's still there. So you can't play offense for 2 and 3 minutes and do this sub game crap that guys are doing for a long time. So that's my main thing with it. Now, there's so many more kids playing the game, as Vinny mentioned, there's so many talented kids playing the game. The skill level is through the roof with the technology of the sticks and the equipment compared to what we used, and I think that's a really good thing for our game. Uh, the difference, I think, really, I don't want to offend anybody. It's really kind of like the parents are the difference. I mean, I would think cell phones and the parents are the two things that are different from 1995 to now, right?
That's true.
Cell phones number one with these kids. Social media, it's fantastic when it's used the right way, but some of these kids are reading things about themselves that's negative, and it just really affects it. And even the positive stuff because they're not mature enough to be able to handle that for the most part. But the parents also they've changed with the club game, club ball, and the expectations of kids specializing lacrosse and playing, fall, winter, spring and summer. It's allowed a lot of the parents to say, hey, I'm investing all this money now. Where are the results? Or I'm investing this money and my kid's the best. And you know what? There's kids like, Bobby Small, you're talking about it, right? Jeff Dumpson is a guy that was just a tremendous athlete, really got better as the year went along because he didn't pick up his stick in the off season, but in season, he's
Right.
such a good athlete, he picked it up and played. You still have to be a good athlete and a good, you can't just twirl your stick around and look good out there in order to play at the highest level of Division One. So the parents have kind of not ruined that a little bit, but they've kind of forced expectations on a lot of these young guys, and it's a little bit unfair. And really uh, I think as a coach and as a club coach, these guys got to look at it like, listen, there's a place for everybody. There's a spot for everybody to end up, whether it's Division One, two, or three, right? Or even club ball. The club ball
Right.
experience for some of these kids is fantastic, right?
Right.
So, picking the right place or not, and not forcing your kid to go to the wrong place, for the wrong reasons. That's what's really changed in my
Yeah,
book.
everybody thinks they're going Division One, Greg.
Yeah,
These club teams think they're going Division One. They're going to play Division One ball. It's like the selling
yeah.
piping. A lot of experts think it ruined part of the game.
I
You're
think
burning these kids out.
I think that's a great point, but even bigger to me, the bigger, and Greg just said it. I don't know if a Jeff Dumpson plays lacrosse. If
Probably
it's
doesn't.
that, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
so an athlete like Jeff who decides, I do play football, I play basketball, and now, you know what? I might not be as familiar with this, but I'm an athlete, and he goes out and he becomes a tremendous lacrosse player, and he wants to do it. Now that same kid, while other kids are playing year round and playing club and maybe
Yeah.
seem more evolved, that kid says, "Ah, forget it." And then because he seems so far behind where he doesn't even bother. And I think that's what you're seeing in high school now. You're not seeing, and that's why certain teams are still very, very good. And then other areas who used to be pretty competitive are not as good anymore. They're
It's
just
so
not.
much money. You got three
Yeah.
kids in a game. You spend $5,000 on each kid plus hotels. I mean, who makes that kind of money for a regular kid? And you dump
Right.
all that money into how do you do it?
It's hard.
People
It's
take out
hard.
second mortgages. You
Yeah.
don't hear the stories. They're not going to say it.
It's a lot of
Crazy.
money. It's a lot of money, a lot of time invested. With that, people want results, and it doesn't
Right.
always work out that way. So then you have. Now, I mean, I have no problem with the club situation. I think there's many coaches that have great intentions. That really do a great job. When I hear a kid says that, hey, I'm going to go to my club practice and not my high school practice, I mean, that's where it crosses the line. The allegiance to the high school has got to be number one. You
Right.
know, and then you go to your club team, but it's not like that. Hey, it's like, oh no, we play for so and so, meaning the club team, rather than we play for Port Washington, Levittown Division, or Lynbrook, right?
Right.
You never heard that in the past. We took pride. You mentioned Quint Keshnick in Lynbrook. There was three families. It was the Rainuses, the Canellas, and the Keshnicks, right? And we took pride as there was everybody in a different age group, 4, 5, 6, 7 years apart, and we took pride in like what I did as the younger guys, what my older brothers did, and
Right.
we were striving to be as good as they were, and you don't have that anymore. You don't see that as much, other than in a few towns, as Stephen mentioned.
Yeah, it's definitely changed. I mean, Smalley always gives us the business because he constantly is telling us. He's telling me and Vinny. He goes, "Oh, you guys couldn't even play today. You couldn't even play today." I'm
Sure,
like, I go, look at the equipment we were using. I said, I'd love to put two Division I teams and give them the stuff we were using
I agree.
and
I
see what it
agree.
would look like. It wouldn't look as sharp. I can almost guarantee it.
I agree. And you guys would have been better than you were back then. Honestly, as
Yeah.
the way I see it, with that equipment and with the speed of the game and a lot of the players around you that are skilled. I mean, yeah, man, it's a better game for sure. And the one thing you hope that they stop fussing with the face off and just kind of put those guys down and blow the whistle and let them go at it and make it a
Right.
mano thing. And good for those guys that they've created opportunities for face off guys, and people talking about taking that out of the game. I totally disagree. I mean, I think Vinny, you might have been playing the year that they did that, right? In
I
the
was
late
out of,
'70s.
I was playing, I played for Long Island that season. That was 79. They did it for 1 year as an experiment. They didn't like it. They didn't feel it was, traditional. It lost something, so they put it right back in the next year. But it was pretty interesting, how they, without the face off, different strategy. If a team was down, when the other team got the ball at midfield, you double team it right away, pull your goalie
Yeah,
out. There was a lot of strategy that went with it. It made it interesting. I thought they pulled the plug kind of quick on it, only giving it 1 year. But I understood the other side of it is that, the face off was such a big part of the game that yeah. I mean, there's other. When we first, Stephen and I, we first went into the MLL, playing in the outdoor pro. The first year on the whistle, everybody could go for the ball, but it got kind of violent. There was collision. But that kind of, face-off guy was able to pinch and pop forward. He wasn't scooping it so quick when he thought a guy could be coming down on him right away. Kind of
right.
leveled the playing field. But, obviously they were concerned about safety and safety, especially in Bobby Smalley's book, safety first all the time. He loves safety.
Always
So they,
safety.
they,
Yeah,
they,
you got
they,
that
they
right.
wouldn't let, that continue. But, the game has morphed in so many ways. I think I think that the PLL in some ways, I like the PLL style myself. I wonder if the NCAA will ever adopt a 2-point line. That would be interesting. That could be an equalizer for some teams, with the
100%.
2 point
Yeah,
shot.
yeah. coaches have talked about that, at length,
Yeah.
in our coaches' meetings, and I would expect that to happen. I would think in the near future. I don't, I'm kind of out of that now, but I would think that may happen.
No, but
Yeah,
you
good
see,
talking
from when
about
you
growing the
started
game as far
coaching,
as
playing, yeah. Well, when you talk about growing the game, what Smalls just said, okay, you watch how teams play today. You don't really need great depth, if you're going to play that style of game. Offensive guys, defensive guys, guys running to the box, the substitution. I'd love to put a monitor on guys and show how much they ran back and forth to the box compared to how much they ran on the field. know?
No doubt.
And I would
Yeah,
have
no doubt.
hated, if I was being recruited today, I would be telling a coach, listen, unless I could stay on the field, I'm not as effective coming off and just playing offense. I could play offense, but my strength was between the lines. So you lose something with not having a between the lines guy. That's why these guys who are somewhat two-way, you had a great one, that kid Trainer, I think his name is. He was
Yeah,
great. That
yeah,
kid
Jeff
could
Trainer.
that kid could play offense. He could play defense. He shows it when he plays in the sixes. He's a throwback. He's good at everything.
Yeah,
That kid. And
no
there's a
doubt.
bunch of them.
Yeah, we tried to
But I
develop
always
that.
felt like you're coaching long enough, Greg, that when you go from the '80s, '90s, 2000s, and now right up till today, how much the game has changed. And what I noticed as a fan of the game is how the coaches tend to just mimic each other. Like when they play, when it becomes this is how you're going to play it, you all play it that way. Whereas I say to myself, if I'm a coach and I play just good enough to lose a lot of times, I don't have the personnel to match up with these guys, I would play a whole different style than anybody else and take my chances that way to win a game, to try to make
Yeah,
the other team play my style as opposed to beating them in the style that they're familiar with.
right. Yeah, and you know who started that was Bill Tierney. Bill Tierney bought a defensive package to Hopkins when he was an assistant, and they turned him down. And then he gets the Princeton job, and then uses that to win how many national titles? Six
Right.
at
Yeah,
Princeton.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
when he was so successful, everybody kind of mimicked what he did on the defensive side and slowed the game down on the
yes,
offensive side. And that was a trend for a while in the late '90s and early 2000s. But I agree with you. How many times you watch a game now? Everyone everyone runs the 3-3. Oh, man up. No one does anything else. I watch the games and go, can anybody think
yeah.
about something? Do something else. Just change it up because these guys are playing against 3-3.
And then they don't even take a shot.
Some of them, right, in 30 seconds. It's
Right.
unbelievable.
I never saw a
Yeah.
man up though. He
On
didn't
a
even
lot of
try to
30
take a
second
shot.
penalties.
That's right.
all
Amazing.
right, let's talk about. You guys want to talk about? I got to pin you down, Greg.
Okay.
So 3/4 of the season is over now. Now you're out of the game. You can pick who are your four teams getting in there. I mean, I guess North Carolina, Notre
Yeah.
Dame,
Yeah.
Cuse,
You asked him, and now you're giving him the teams.
Yeah,
Let him
Yeah.
pick.
Are those your picks?
You ask him, and he tells you.
Are
Listen,
those your
two
picks?
pounds here. They got to get a. Who do you like to really win it all if they're going to win it all? And you got to pin it down on Greg Canella. You got to pin it.
Who do I
Pick
want to win it
another
all? Or
game.
who do I want to win it all? Or who do I think is going to win it
Now,
all?
who you think's going to win it? You saw enough games. You watch
Good
the
question.
films. You watch these players.
I haven't thought too much about that. But, and I think when you watch, you mentioned a couple teams, Carolina, they've been explosive at times. And, they're going to have to make saves. They're going to win faceoffs, you know that. And then Cuse is sort of the same thing. They're going to have to score in bunches, I think. In my opinion, they're a solid team, exciting team to watch. Notre Dame is Notre Dame's Notre Dame, really well
You think the
coached.
Leprechaun's going to get another victory, right?
I mean, I think they at least get to the Final Four for sure. And then after that, Princeton, Cornell, I think it's going to be an Ivy League team that gets to the Final Four. Some really good teams out there that listen. When I watch it now, and you look at maybe 5 to 6 teams, 7 teams, they're much, in my opinion, they're much better than everybody else. After that, And so it's going to get whittled down to those teams, and there's going to be some big games in the quarterfinals to decide who goes to the Final Four.
Do you have a surprise team like outside of the Ivy, Big Ten, and ACC that you think to keep an eye on?
I would keep an eye on Towson. The kid Wishauer is a fantastic player, man. I mean, just
He's
dynamic
really
player.
good.
They play really good defense. They're a little inexperienced there this year, but they play great defense. Sean Nadelin's an excellent coach, defensive coach as well, and does a great job. So they're a team that can beat somebody and surprise somebody just because of Wishauer and how much attention he draws and allows those other kids to play freely.
How about the Spider, Greg?
Yeah, Richmond is another team, right? There's so many teams.
It's
Richmond.
true. You're right this year.
They should be. Yeah. I mean, they're an Atlantic 10 team. They get the crap out of us, that's for sure. Dan Shamati does a great job. What I like about them, and they have some inexperience in the goal too. Depend on, even though he's having a good year, it'll depend on when he gets in the playoffs how he plays. But really good attackman, strong at the face-off, right? Really good one or two midfielders, and then one outstanding defenseman. So they're pretty strong through the middle there. So again, they beat Cornell by a goal up there. A strong team. Notre Dame kind of jumped on them out in the Midwest. Again, depends on where the game is, right? Where the games are, where they wind up playing.
Yeah.
They got to score.
I ask you that question because it leads to this next thought that I'm curious because of all your years of experience. Your years of experience, but really only in the last few years has this become sort of a thing. I ask about the teams maybe who could surprise and how hard it is for those teams maybe outside those three conferences that I mentioned to sort of really put up a fight because I would say to guys, I say, you're getting a good guy, you're developing a guy, you want him to be really good, you want him to be great, but you don't want him to be too great because if he becomes too great, then all these other guys want him and he leaves you and he goes somewhere else.
He gets poached, right? Yeah, he gets poached. And it's really hard to outside of those conferences. Obviously Ivy's with the education and the teams, and then ACC and the Big Ten with the NIL dollars that are flying around now in lacrosse. It's hard to compete with. It's really, really hard to break into that. Listen, if Richmond or Towson or somebody like that jumps in there, that'll be a win for all the underdogs for sure.
Yeah, Richmond, was it last year, played Cornell at Hofstra for the quarterfinals, so the 1-goal game. They were leading.
Yeah.
Richmond was leading.
Yeah, they probably played them.
Hofstra.
They probably played them the toughest as anybody played them.
Yeah.
All year.
Last
So
year, 1-goal game.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to wind up facing a team like that. So hopefully they can win that game.
Maybe a thing that could equalize some of that is, and I wanted to get your thought on this too, is that there's always been that rumor of with the eligibility and talking about, bringing it back to junior college where they were saying potentially that junior college wouldn't count against your 4-year eligibility like it did for Smalley, even though he didn't use his other 3 years.
Well, I think that's the rule now. I don't think that the junior colleges does count. Those kids that go on, play 2 years, and then go on for 4 years. They've talked about giving everybody a 5th year, right? I don't know where that goes. I really don't. I don't know how that gets voted. I don't know who. A league has to really sponsor that, and I'm not sure. I mean, that's going to be a football, a basketball thing, right? Somebody from one of those big time conferences will jump in and support that. That's the only way it'll get passed. It's not going to come from lacrosse, that's for sure. Even though a lot of lacrosse players would benefit.
Yeah, the way I look at it, these players today, they've played so much coming up, and they really fell in love with the game. It's been an opportunity for them off the field stuff, the friendships and all the things they made like we did in the sport, which is a huge part of the sport for me, all the people I came in contact with over the years. But when you really think about it, for most people, even at the highest level of Division One, it's a small window. They're not going to play past that 4 years. When that 4 years is up, the vast majority of guys playing, they're done unless they go play in a summer league or they play, in a tournament here or there. They're done, so
Yes.
because they've played so much more than we did when we were young. They're basically
It's
playing
incredible.
year round at this. You have on the one side the burnout factor, and then on the other side, they're not playing at 25 in some league or something. They go on to work and that's it. But that's why I say it's so funny when you see the different age groups. We go down to Florida, you see guys are all broken down. It's like to get through 2.5 days there. It's like a battle of war of attrition, and guys they work out for it and all. If you're 60, you're still 60. Things are going to happen. But it shows
That's right.
the love of the game. I always feel like the love for the sport and our time, in our era, the 70s, 80s, 90s, like that, was greater than it is now in the long term.
I would agree with you on that. I think that these guys have trained so hard for so long, as you mentioned, right? And even when they get to college, it's an everyday thing now. When we were in college,
Yeah,
we scrimmage, we practiced for 4 weeks in the fall, and it was like 5 days a week or 3 days a week, and you scrimmaged a lot. And then Coach Garber would say, "Okay, guys, I'll see you in February," in the middle of October.
yeah,
And now
yeah,
we see the guys every single day, man. You're lifting, you're running in the off
yeah,
season, you're doing individuals in the off season, and then in season you go from January. We start earlier. We go from January 7th all the way to May. Those are long seasons, and you talk about the burnout for those guys. It's hard. Some of the
yeah,
fifth-year guys that we've had have broken down in that time,
yeah. I believe it.
and some of them have been strong enough to handle it and get through it and obviously get a master's degree. And that would be the one bright spot. If guys got a fifth year, and to stick around, maybe it's a kid who doesn't play or hasn't played a lot, then he gets a chance to play. But he also leaves with 2 degrees, an undergraduate
Yeah,
and a graduate degree, which is really cool. And with the workplace being what it is now, it would be an added benefit to all these guys.
yeah. Yeah, well, that's why those Ivy guys have been so good in the portal because they can't play a fifth year, at those Ivies,
Yeah,
and so
yeah,
they're up for
right.
grabs, and a lot of them are very accomplished players who are going for a master's degree. These 1 year master's programs that adds a lot for them.
It does, right? If they get injured, they can't use that year at the Ivy. So, like you said, they go into the portal. A couple kids at Maryland from Yale. I mean, just think of
Yep.
what Yale would be with those two guys. Two of Maryland's best players right now on the
Yeah.
offensive end. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, that's how it goes, right? Those kids aren't coming to UMass. I talked to both of them, right? There's no way.
Yeah.
So that's again why those schools, the ACCs and the Big Tens, are so strong.
Yeah.
Hey, Greg,
Well,
what's
those
an
kids.
average
There's a
night of
couple.
coaching?
Go ahead, Smalls.
I'm sorry. An average night of coaching, when you're coaching, you're having a shitty practice. Did you stay on campus or you lived close? You drove home every night?
No,
What
I,
was your
I I go home every night. Yeah, I live 2.5 hours from the office. Excuse me, 2.5 miles from the office.
2.5 hours? That's a lot.
No, miles. I could run there. I used to ride my bike there.
Oh, you live that close?
Very close. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
early on, back in the '90s, we were doing a lot of calling at night. Phone calls because there was no cell phones. So you were in there till 8, 9 o'clock, sometimes 10 o'clock at night, calling kids. And but when cell phones came around, you were contacting kids all day long, texting kids, and it turned out to be just mostly texting, right? Because kids don't even talk on the phone anymore; they just
Right.
text.
Right.
So a lot of it was texting, and then you would get on a call for a couple of minutes. Some of these kids can't even talk to you. They're 16 years old, and they're trying to figure some things out, and they're surprised that a college coach is calling them. Pretty brief conversations with some of the kids. you know, as we got into the 2010s to the 2020s, you know, you would go home after practice and do your work at home on your phone, because all the technology, all the compliance and everything was on your phone. You logged your calls on your phone. You didn't have to do that in the office and all that stuff. So it was
Did you
much
have a
easier.
strategy? If you wanted to get a really good kid, you knew you were going to hard to get him. Did you travel somewhere to show up at a game, or it was like his football game in high school? Did
Yeah,
you show up like, hey,
yeah.
here I am, Greg Canella. I'm
We did
showing
it
up.
all, man. We did it all. We went to
You
games. We
did.
went to,
You would
went to
show up.
games. Went to games in the fall. We went to their homes. We went to games in the spring.
Wow.
We went to their homes again. We went to their club games. We made sure that, you know, if there was two guys at the event, that we watched every game the kid played in. You know, you did everything you could.
Who's the best kid you ever got? The hardest you had to work for a kid?
The
What kid was the
hardest?
hardest?
Well, honestly, I can't remember the hardest. You know, when I recruited, we recruited guys that first off were good kids, right? Obviously, good players, and I always needed to meet them in person, right? I always talked to the high school coach, because the high school coach knew him better than the club coach, and the high school coach saw him in the hallways, saw him in the gym locker room, maybe, and knew how he acted. And then it was time to meet the parents. Right? So the kid had to come and visit campus, sit down with me, have a conversation. Sometimes I taught him, sometimes the other guys taught him, right? But, you know, in the end, it was always about them wanting to come to UMass. That's what I would tell guys. Listen, if you want to come here, we'll make this work, right? If you know, you're thinking about X, Y, and Z schools, I wish you luck. Know that we want you to come to UMass or potentially come to UMass, but I'm not begging guys to come here, because we're going to get enough guys to come here that believe in what we're doing, believe in the university, believe in our staff, and believe in, you know, the other guys in the program.
Yeah, you worked hard. Wow, congratulations.
You had to. You had to. I mean, I was in a couple kids' houses 4 or 5 times, and they didn't come to UMass. That's just how it goes. It's like any sales job. You live in a world of rejection.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's congratulations. That's great, man. All
But
right, good.
there's good people everywhere. So you know, when you met parents, and Bobby, you mentioned lunch pail people, right? Firemen, police officers, teachers, blue collar folks, even people that were white collar, that were raised blue collar. Whenever I met those people, I kind of like got it on. I got it on with those guys. You know, like we got along together, and I think they felt comfortable sending their kid, knowing that first off, somebody's going to watch after their kid, but someone's going to kick them in the ass too if they needed it, right? And make sure that they stay on the straight and narrow with their academics first, and then obviously lacrosse, and taking care of what they do off the field.
Yeah, and Smalls, you got to know that, you know, Greg went to the championship game one year. They were in the finals, the championship game. For UMass to be in the finals, that's an amazing
Division One in
accomplishment.
the finals.
Yeah, 2006, Smalls.
Yeah.
2006.
I didn't
We
know
lost.
that.
We lost to Virginia.
Lost to
What was the
Virginia in the
score?
championship game.
We lost. I think it was. I want to say 15-7, but it was 8-7 in the third quarter, and
Wow.
Wow.
we just ran out of gas. They were loaded. They were, I think, 19-0 that year. But
Yeah,
we had the toughest road to get to the Final Four. We beat number 2 Hofstra. Excuse me. We beat number 4 Cornell, number 2 Hofstra, and number 3 Maryland. Maryland was in the
Wow.
semis. Hofstra was in the quarters out at Stony Brook.
Yeah.
Unbelievably so that it was there. And then we lost to Virginia in the final. And again, we just had some great players right up the middle. Doc Schneider was a freshman, as a goalie, Massapequa kid, was a fantastic goalie for us. Jack Reed was a first-team All-American defenseman. Jake Dean was a long pole that faced off. It was an honorable mention All-American. And Sean Morris on attack was a first-team All-American. So you were really strong right up the middle, and we had a bunch of complementary guys, young guys that were up and comers that really, really played well with tremendous leadership that year as well.
So the long pole was he was your main face-off guy,
He
or
faced off. Yeah, he faced off. Jake Dean.
holy, wow, I
If
never heard
if
of
you're
that.
familiar with the club scene, he owns True Lacrosse. He started True Lacrosse. He's from Annapolis, Maryland. Went to school up in New England, prep school.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He was definitely
Great
the
kid.
Hofstra killer in that quarterfinal game.
Yes, he was. He won
He
a
came up
bunch
with
of
those
draws.
second half
Won a bunch
face-offs.
of draws.
Yeah,
Yeah,
changed the momentum of that whole game. You know,
and we
Hofstra, that was a great team they had that year.
they did. So they were 17-1. Their only loss was us in the first game, and then we beat them there. So
Right,
17-2 that year. They had a
right.
great year.
I know.
And we were down 10-5 with about 8 minutes to go in the game, and we
Yeah,
tied
I
it up
know.
and we won it in overtime. An
Yeah,
incredible
that was
game.
some game. Yeah,
We were
that was some game.
very lucky to win that game.
Yeah.
So now, Greg, what are you doing? You're home all the time now. What job do you have? I mean,
No job. I'm retired, so I work out a
He's
lot.
working he's an analyst now. He goes on color. He does
That's right.
color. He's doing the game.
I do the home games for UMass on ESPN
Hey,
Plus. It's fun. And then I've done a lot of traveling, visiting family. My dad's in Florida. I have a brother in California. Done a lot of snowboarding this winter.
awesome, good for you.
Yeah, and then I'm also involved with Team Italia. I've gotten involved with those guys. I was over in Italy
nice.
coaching some Italian kids. We're trying to do a tent down at the quarterfinals in Hofstra, so you guys got to stop by if we do. I think
Nice.
that's like May 16th or something like that, and try to promote Team Italia. Good group of coaches. Chris Bates and Brian Vaughn is the head coach.
Hmm.
You guys probably played against in the indoor league. I
Yeah,
think he was a
indoor.
goalie.
Yeah, the goalie.
Yeah,
He was a goalie. Yeah.
and Jimmy Muley is on staff as well. So really, really good group of guys we're involved with there. Yeah, fun stuff. See where that goes. But
They better
that's what
grab
I've been
my
doing,
nephew.
Smalls.
They better grab my nephews, the Fricaros, for that team.
Yeah, were they on it last time? I think we
No,
tried.
they haven't
The
played.
biggest,
They haven't played for
the
it.
biggest, the biggest holdup is the citizenship, and they just
Yeah.
changed the rules for Italy to get a citizenship in the country. So that's the tough part. It's not just you have to have grandparents, and now it's changed. It's going to be much harder. And they have guys in the queue, and they have a good group of guys. So they're not going to beat USA or Canada or anybody like that, but they're going to challenge Israel and Team Puerto Rico and teams like that, and getting that beat pool and do well for sure.
Yeah.
Nice. So it's about this time that we usually do our shout outs and when we wrap it up.
Okay.
Smalls, you want to describe the shout outs?
Well, for us,
Anybody
yeah,
you want to, you give
I'll do a
a,
shout out. Couple people we
I'll go first. I'm gonna give my shout out. My shout out is gonna go to a UMass guy, John Gonzalez.
Hands up.
Yeah, Gonzo. I know that, again, congratulations that you went in the UMass Hall of Fame, and I think that I had seen like a picture that he had a portrait that he painted with all the legendary coaches, including yourself, passing the torch along, right?
He did, yeah. So I have two Gonzo originals. I have one that he presented to me at year 30, and then this one that he presented the other night on Saturday night at an event. Really cool picture, painting. He does an awesome job. So Gonzo, love him.
Yeah, he sent me the one from the Bagataway Saloon, a print
Right.
in one of the rooms. It's the coolest thing. I'm
It's
like,
really cool.
and
Yeah.
he should get a lot of work because he's very talented in terms of how he does that. How he makes these ideas and his artistry comes out. That's what lacrosse needs. It's an artist. Roy Simmons can't be the only guy who's an artist.
That's right. And Gonzo has done it for a couple programs, history, drawings, right? I know he's done one for West Point. He did one for us on Garber Field that's in the office at UMass. So he's done some great stuff, and really for a great foundation as well. So
That's amazing.
he's a good
Smalls,
man.
who you got? Who's your shout out?
Man, I can't even think at this hour. It's past my bedtime. But anyway, I just want to say something to our dear friend Greg. Unbelievable winning the national championship with him in 1985. And just being a great person he was then and seeing his career, how he's grown. Everybody loved the guy. I mean, what's not to love? Great friend, great person. And I can't believe it. I can't believe where time went.
I know.
36 years has gone by in like a second. Am I right? You look back now, it's gone. It's gone.
Yep. Yep.
It's like, I was sitting in the airport about a month ago, and I'm looking at all the people, traffic walking around. And for the first time, I actually was sitting and go, you know what? Thank God I got married. Thank God I got, I had great parents. Thank God I got kids. I looked around and I said to myself, time passed me by. Time has passed me by. I'm in my late 60s now. It's over. You know what I'm saying? So the little bit that I have left in life, I want to scramble. I'm going to Final Fours in basketball, Final Fours in lacrosse. I'm nervous I might not be around tomorrow. There's no life guarantees. But I want to say we love you, Greg, really. God
Love you
bless
too, Smalls. Love you too,
me.
brother.
And a
Yeah,
shout
man.
out to Nassau Community College, all the guys, Dancy, Dumpson, everybody. 1 o'clock on Saturday's a big day for coaches coming out of the Speckman. So
It's going to be a great one. Yeah, it's going to
Yeah.
be a great event.
What do you got, Vincenzo?
Yeah, my shout out is to Coach Speckman, a man who, like Greg, I mean, again, Greg is part of his coaching tree, and Speckman has, his branches go out really far, and maybe some of these young people don't know what impact he had on the game and on the players that played for him that were able to go from junior college onto some great universities and play for national championships, Division 1, 2, or 3. And, the guy won 20 national championships, was coach of the year 6 or 7 times,
23
the accolades just, say again?
I did
What'd you
23
say?
to be exact.
23 championships? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. But
Incredible.
I think he was in the Final Four for junior college every year but one in all the years he coached, something like that. Incredible record. Credit to him that so many guys went on to be All-Americans at the next levels of lacrosse and successful people in general, good people. He set a standard. And I think that guys like yourself who were from his coaching tree, you instituted those same standards wherever you were. And hopefully the guys who coached for you, with you as assistants, and guys who played for you over the years will take that from you. I think there are a lot of them because I'm friends with a lot of the guys who played with you. And
Yeah.
so I think that's what helps the game, grows the game, and makes it special. It's always about the people that make it special more than anything. So my shout
right
out
about
goes
that.
to Coach Speckman. I hope he really appreciates, and takes it in, what he really did. And I think he'll be shown a lot of love, like I'm sure Greg was at his event. I saw some of the videos from it. Obviously, you did something right, Greg, for all those people to show up and the way they did and the way that event went, So that's the nice part about the game. Those are the things I remember. I won a lot of games. I won a lot of things. But for me, it was always special to be around special people.
No doubt. Those relationships are incredible. They're lifelong with you guys, with everybody that I've been associated with lacrosse. And Coach Beckman is one of a kind. I don't think there's a guy that's coached a game like him and has done what he's done with different teams. Again, the team has changed every year. It's a totally different team. And he's got to mold those guys within a couple of weeks in order to play. So I wish him the best with this weekend, and hopefully everybody enjoys that.
Yeah, Coach, we love you. Speckman, we love you. Georgie Powers, we love you. Dougie
Thanks,
Holt, we
Tim.
love you. Jamie Allen, well, you better be coming too, Jamie. You went there too. You better be coming.
He's on Jamie.
I love Jamie. He better be coming.
He'll be in.
Thank you for your time, Greg.
Oh,
We
you guys
appreciate
kidding
it.
me?
It's it's great having somebody that's had such a legendary career. You really have. You have a really proud legacy there.
I'm done on here.
I'm sure your whole family's very proud, and we're gonna get this up there and soon. So for anybody out there, if you're not following, you'll be following along. We'll get some clips out there. This has been a great conversation. We truly appreciate it. So
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Give him a hand going out, Small. Give him a hand going out. Give him a hand.
Climbing out.